Alright guys, TacticalRab back again today. Hope you're all doing well and enjoying your day so far. With Vanguard on the tip of everyone's tongues at the present time, there's been a lot of talk these last couple of months about what could the movement be like in this game. If Sliding's returning, does that mean Snaking will return? Is Cellium going to have a good time once again on Call of Duty Vanguard? Very much intrigued to your thoughts in the comment section below. Like if you guys enjoyed the video, subscribe if you are new as always, that would greatly appreciate it. Really upset the channel, thank you very much indeed for doing that. First of all, this from Karma got a spare PS5 a heck, so maybe Karma looking to get involved in some of the content stuff here for the Vanguard beta. That's going to be very exciting. Right at the start of Black Ops Cold War, Karma was considered one of the best players right in some of those early tournaments. I wouldn't be surprised if that's a similar thing this time around. I'm actually just going to play on PC, but yeah, I mean still, it's good to see Karma still getting involved in the scene and still being there or thereabouts, discussing the game and stuff like this, because there's certainly a player that even had some offers to come back into the Pro League last season, as we looked at from the subliners and stuff like that as well. This from Zero, because well, maybe indicative of something going on. There's been a fair few Black Ops 2 tournaments being played on Plutonium recently. Afro, Nasty, Gizmo and Zero were playing one just the other day, and I mean, it seems kind of interesting, right, given this is precisely the rumoured roster of 4 over the London Royal Ravens, so maybe not a massive surprise if that comes to fruition. A very nasty team, at least in pure gun skill and raw talent on this team. London may actually be putting together a pretty good squad. Now, if you just want to run through real quick all the other teams that as they are rumoured at the present time, Crane does an article yesterday on .esports to kind of, go through absolutely everything, the current rumours. So right now, Paris are completely unknown. At least he doesn't put anything out there. I'm sure he knows some of the players they've been talking to, because there's so many players they've been talking to, but I'm not really sure what's going on over there still. NRG, nobody really knows what that spot is even going to be. The other squads, we believe we know what's going on. This is kind of the situation just summed up at Breaking Point. If you guys are kind of new to things and just want to have a quick way to catch up, these are some of the rosters as it seems like right now. So Slasher, Huke, and Gunless, only one confirmed so far on LAG, and well, here are the other rosters as it is rumoured at the present time. Florida is kind of an interesting one because we've got Yeez in there, thrown there somewhere. Not really sure what they're going to do with all these AR players. They seem to be somehow stacking up at the Mutineers right now, and certainly some scary rosters here. But Ultra Rokkr also talk about methods, what he might do. Like if he doesn't get an offer to go elsewhere, he'll probably still be on Ultra as a substitute for next year. That seems to be how it's going right now. At least that's what Crone described there in the article. Now this is well from the flank. Of course, it's tough to read into this type of stuff. But will NRG find a buyer for the 12th CDL spot? Outlook good. So it seems like it may indeed be the case that yes, we are going to get those 12 teams. Even though Crimsix was talking the other day about the possibility of we only playing with 11 teams this season, even though I kind of doubt that is going to be the case. The CDL is going to do something to make sure that doesn't have to happen. This also was kind of an interesting spot here from Paul X, so definitely throwing some strays the way of the London guys, or at least the London organisation that he was a part of. I really got to pay to get my stuff from Charlotte after being forced to move there, and disappointed about this. At the end of the day, if you're gonna work for an organisation, then you get let go, then they're not really going to pay to move your stuff from where you were based in Charlotte, I guess, back to where you live right now. But still, maybe Paul X not too happy with the London organisation. To be fair, we've heard a few things about that from other players that have been there in the past. So kind of like with Toronto, really, before they actually got good and seemed to kind of get their act together, there were a lot of discussions about them as an organisation and kind of the things that some of these organisations are doing, despite now being in this official franchised situation. Now, this comes out from Scump yesterday. Seems like this is kind of what he was doing over there in Los Angeles, right, with the FaZe guys, the OpTic X FaZe type content stuff they're doing. And you can see, okay, he's going for the paintball right here in jeans, and he's doing the buddy hops. I thought this is pretty hilarious. He's he's certainly getting cracked on the sticks right here. This sparked a discussion, I think, about exactly what the movement could be like in this game. In Modern Warfare, it was kind of like a bunny hop meta, but there was also a fair bit of sliding. The sliding was very powerful indeed. The tactical sprint stuff in that game, snaking was also kind of a thing. This year, snaking was most certainly a thing because the jumping was not so much of a big deal in this title, and it was generally about the slide cancelling and that sort of stuff. So every year, you got to wonder, like, does certain movement mechanics favour certain players, and what does that going to be? Because we certainly did see, going from the jetpack era of Infinite Warfare back to World War II, guys like Aches and JCap, for example, generally did become better players, I think, after with the movement kind of helping them out in that sense. Not always the case. Some players are going to be nasty regardless, but certainly something to talk about. So of course, this is like the classic false narrative tweet from back in March here from Cellium. This is what Kenny comes out and says, brother, you're nasty, I don't know about lies. So of course, these tweets that we talked about at the time when Cellium, he likes bobbing up and down behind head glitches. If you guys are kind of unfamiliar with what snaking is, effectively if you go down behind some sort of cover and you go prone and then you stand up, or even you kind of crouch stand up, then it makes you very difficult to see and shoot from the other side because you're a moving target, but also the cameras don't always line up perfectly with exactly what the other person sees. So snaking is of course something that's just in the game. I know Clayster has said before, like, it's kind of in the game, like you should just abuse it, and that's kind of how it goes. But some players would also also say, look, back in the day, let's say Infinite Warfare time, like when snaking was very much being abused by Splice especially at around like stage 1, then the pros kind of decided, look, let's just not do this, and pretty much nobody did it for the rest of the year. Whereas nowadays it seems somewhat more difficult to enforce with their Cellium and the boys on the scene. And well, we saw Envoy running around yesterday, of course, in this Vanguard beta, and it was kind of interesting to see, like when Simp was playing, Simp was generally like jump shotting around the map and doing stuff like that. When Envoy was playing on the Eagle's Nest map, he was doing a fair bit of sliding and stuff like this. Now, there was a pretty big discussion point a couple of weeks ago now on the flank where they were discussing, look, what happens with this upcoming title and what does that mean potentially for snaking returning, right? Is sliding going to be a massive thing in this game, as it kind of seems to be, but maybe not so much of a big deal as it could be and it maybe was in the previous game. But when sliding is there, snaking is not too far around the corner. So a couple of clips here, one from the flank and also one that people were noticing in the alpha, where something you could snake pretty heavily indeed, and well, might be a frustration point again for competitive play this year.
I'm just thinking that it's going to be World War II with slide canceling.
Oh god.
And that's and that sounds kind of.
Just imagining Cellium on cabin wall, dude.
I mean, bro, like if they're sliding, like there's gonna be snaking.
Yeah,
it's
that's
gonna
just
be
the way it
there.
is. That's
it's
the way it
just
is.
how it is. That's just the way it is. But let's, Dante, I want to ask you. I'm just thinking that it's gonna be World War II with slide canceling.
Oh god.
And that's and that sounds kind of.
Just imagining Cellium on cabin wall, dude.
I mean, bro, like if they're sliding, like there's gonna be snaking.
So of course in this title, snaking was a pretty massive thing. You can see right here, Cellium, like a bob it up and down. This of course is ahead of the World Championship. Right, I mean, this right here, the shadow that we looked at the time, I thought was pretty entertaining. But yeah, still, Cellium does his best to find things in the game that are going to give him something of an advantage. And well, if this is the case once again, that we might have situations in the game where snaking could be abused, then well, it probably is something that is going to happen, or at least cause some drama between the Pro League scene, as we have seen once again. This I thought was kind of ridiculous, actually, that Arcitys says, just so I guess this is just before they end up winning the World Championship. We had a team meeting after Major 5, after what we could do better, and I've never been more shocked in my life when Cell said he needs more left stick slides at us. People are really playing a different game. So there was some sort of slide you could do in this most recent title in Black Ops Cold War. The Cellium kind of figured out, and other players figured it out as well, that instead of using your jump button at all, you just hold your left stick slide instead of using a jump button, and well, apparently that makes you go way further, and well, it causes some serious issues in the cameras for the other players. And Cellium kind of discovered this type of stuff, or at least other players have kind of figured it out as well. But when he told the rest of the FaZe guys, they were absolutely crushing people, it seems, at the World Championship. And this type of stuff, I mean, as Pro League says, love Black Ops 4 slides since day one. Can't believe people didn't know about this all year until pretty much the end of the World Championship, where everyone was talking about it. And well, maybe it helps FaZe actually get over the line there. So certainly these guys, and Cellium especially, knows how to and likes finding things in the game that can be abused. I mean, Clace is kind of a similar way, right? He likes to find things that can be taken advantage of. And with sliding back in the game in full force, snaking maybe just around the corner as well. Certainly something to keep your eyes on as we see more Vanguard beta gameplay. We'd like to see Cellium on the 6 in these to see if he can find something already. And I'm sure Shotzzy as well, during the early part of the beta, probably going to find something or other that can be potentially abusable into next year. Wanted to mention this though on the slightly more worrying side, I guess, from Parasite, when they only mention the anti-cheat stuff in the Warzone section, really makes me think some way, somehow, some way, it won't be a normal multiplayer. This is a pretty big concern, to be honest, for some of the Challengers players, because the anti-cheat is such a massive deal for the integrity of not only the pro scene, I guess, but they kind of do decent job in controlling that by checking players' PCs and stuff like this. And of course, now back at LAN, it's not really a concern anyway. But the online stuff for Challengers, that's been a massive question mark this past season, certainly at the start of the season, like last year in like November, December time, that was a massive discussion. And yeah, they only really mentioned it in terms of the reveal in the Warzone section. Definitely raises bits of concerns that could that actually be integrated into normal multiplayer. They kind of said that would be, but hopefully that still will be the case, as Parasite is kind of concerned about it right here. JP Krez, the analyst over the subliners, talks about this, right, because when we get the scoreboards up, we're going to have some indication of what's going on there. And it seems like damage numbers might not be making their return. I hope the CDL's like API can somehow get them so we can see them on the post-match kind of scoreboard type thing. But yes, still, it seems like only eliminations and like objective points and stuff like this rather than damage. I think damage is such a great statistic to add to the game, so it's kind of a surprise that's not returning if it is not returning. And well, just wanted to finish off with this because lots to talk about what could be the strongest weapon in the game right now. There's of course the Thompson, there's potentially the PPSH returning as well as an SMG. There's the MP40 that most people have been talking about, but is TP using the STG, which seems right now to be the strongest weapon in the entire game. Vanguard time to kill kind of wild. Definitely you kill very quickly in this title well, certainly something to look at going forwards, because it's not quite as bad as Modern Warfare 2019, but it's certainly something that's going to affect how competitive plays this year, and maybe good or bad for, well, snaking, depending on your perspective. Very much intriguing your thoughts in the comment section below. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did enjoy it, I'd greatly appreciate a like on the video. Really helps out the YouTube algorithm. I know you enjoyed this content. Other people like you may enjoy this content as well, and I've grown the competitive quality of the community. Thank you much, as always. Take care, and I will see you next time.
50,000 of them.
Yeah.
I got dogs. Good luck with that, Mace.
Oh, nice. He said I got dogs. Good luck.
Oh my.
No.
Best TG is busted. Like busted, busted.